Alright, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we have one of the best producers, in my opinion, to ever come out of the West Coast. We got Domino of the Hieroglyphics right here, right now. How you doing this evening?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing wonderful. Just trying to get past all this COVID-19 stuff, man.
Yeah, it seems like it's sticking on, man. Yeah, but it's kind of our new normal, right?
Unfortunately, I don't think the world's actually going to go back to normal, unfortunately. I think we'll move past it, but I think there'll still be an element of this social distancing.
Yeah, I think the handshake is out, the pound is in fully.
But one thing I do want to ask you, Domino, like, what made you decide to get into the music industry, like from the start?
Well, I think you don't ever start it in the industry per se. You just have a love for music, and you just start following that first. My dad was a musician. He had a band that was, had success, and they were signed to Capitol Records and stuff. So I saw that. I'm not sure if that is the reason, but I know that I just always around music and started getting into hip hop early on when hip hop, the beginning of hip hop, and then just kind of morphed into doing my own form, and then got with some other talented guys, and was able to make it into the industry. But I don't think the industry itself was the aim in the beginning.
And I also read by 1989 to 1990, you had switched almost exclusively to beat making from being an MC. I have to ask you, what was the reason for the switch? And like, do you still make like hip hop songs today?
The switch was because I um, I used to make beats, and I was an MC, and then I would kind of um, I had a partner who was basically making most of the beats, and then uh, I still was like, hey, I want to rap over this, I want to rap over that. I ended up buying the first kind of like sampler that we had that had significant amount of sample time. At that time, it was like 30 seconds of sample time, 29 seconds. So since I bought the sampler, I learned to use it and just started to make beats alongside with my friend who I was working with. And then I just kind of got more into making beats, and then kind of less interested in being an MC. And then once I met Hyro, I realized that I was on par with them, but they were on a whole other level as MCs, and I felt like I'm going to focus on what I'm best at, which is on their level. And I didn't think my MCing was, and also because I was already kind of moving away from it as it is. And so they were kind of like, I was kind of like over MCing, and then they were the final kind of like, okay, I'm going to focus on beats. These dudes have the rhymes down.
And before we move off the topic of you being a beat maker, do you actually still do beat making today? And if so, like, where can our listeners that are actually artists as well, where can they actually purchase your beats?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any site or any like location where my beats are. Like, I don't like putting myself out there to kind of be like, my beat. I just kind of work with people that I kind of know, or or I get linked up with. And so there isn't really a place where someone can go and listen and buy beats per se. Usually, if someone contacts, and we have kind of like what they're about, and I kind of it's the next, I think that they'd be dope to work with, and that's kind of how it happens.
And when you mentioned Hyro, you were also a member, sorry, of the collective, the Hieroglyphics. I have to ask you, what's the story behind that formation? How did you meet the other members?
I met the other members through Dante Ross, who at the time was an A&R at Electric. And I rent out this storeroom of this record store, Groove Merchant in San Francisco, which at the time was one of the first um, kind of record stores that focused on kind of rare groove type stuff, like mostly jazz and soul and funk. So, there were always used record stores, but this was the first one, at least in San Francisco and probably on the West Coast, one of the first, that was kind of their aim, the kind of the stuff that you would sample. So I rented out. I used to go in there, and then ultimately they were renting out. That kind of, it was kind of like a storeroom, but it was like a studio apartment. And I said, "Oh, this is perfect. Like, I can, have my equipment in there and like listen to go get records right here." And so I was in there, and then Dante Ross and a lot of other producers and luminaries just come in there for the same thing, the gig or whatever. And Dante used to come to town because his dad lived in San Francisco, and his and the Gavin convention used to, bring a lot of people in the industry was in San Francisco. So we got introduced by the owners of the shop, and then we started talking, and I started playing him some stuff, and we realized we had music taste in common, and then we forged a friendship and liked what I was doing. And then after a while, he said, "Hey, I'm gonna help you out. Like, I just signed this guy, Del the Funky Homo Sapien, his cousin, who's out of Oakland, and he has a whole crew of guys that are hooked up." And he told them about me, and then me and Del and A Plus met up at my house one day, and then the rest is history, as they say.
And the one thing I've also read as well that the hieroglyphics, their you guys' logo is is labeled as one of the most iconic hip hop logos in hip hop history. I have to ask you, can you tell us a story behind that like just legendary logo? Like, what made you what inspired it?
Well, Del created the logo, and I'm not sure. I think the third eye, third eye part of it. You know, um, I think that that was probably he used to do graphic design, so I think that he just kind of came to him, and he wanted something that represented what he felt the crew was, which was all seen. And then later on, we found out that the three dots and the straight line represented the number eight in Mayan, Egyptian, Mayan, not Egyptian, in Mayan hieroglyphics meant the number eight, which is the number for infinity. And so, kind of, and this was after the fact. I don't think this had anything to do with it. So, kind of was cool to find that out later. The fact, but ultimately, I think it was just more the third eye scene. You know.
And the one thing I also saw as well about the hieroglyphics, which is actually phenomenal, I saw on Facebook that the mayor of Oakland in 2013 proclaimed that September 3rd be Hiero Day. I have to ask you, how does it feel knowing that you guys have your own official day in the city of Oakland, California?
I mean, it means a lot because this is where everyone kind of puts his roots is in the area, and to kind of be represented by what I would consider mainstream, like the government of Oakland. It means a lot. It means that it kind of put a stamps on our local legacy. And that that we made an impact that is long lasting and meaningful to people in the community. And so, yeah, man, it was very humbling, very humbling.
And also, man, like the good thing about that is also Hyro Day will actually be around for many more years to come, even after all of us are long gone. So that's actually another good thing. It also helps keeps your guys' group's legacy alive.
Yeah, I think that's important. Sometimes as you've been around a while, you have a different audience. But I think that a lot of the Hyro Day kind of keeps our name fresh with like the youth. And they may not know all of our music or much of our music, but they know Hyro Day. And so they it kind of helps you right keep our name out there, particularly with the younger generation who may not have grown up or heard the earlier stuff.
And also, Hyro Day is also a festival or a block party. Can you tell us a bit more about that? And also, with COVID-19 going on, is that still going to be a thing this year, or is that actually for what is that actually canceled? Unfortunately, this year.
Yeah, it's not going to happen this year, but basically, Hyro Day is just kind of a family oriented kind of gathering, which block party is a good way to put it because it's all on the street. There's multiple stages, and it touches pretty much. It keeps them with it mostly in the aesthetic of what we stand for musically. A lot of similar type of groups, but we also kind of similar as far as progressive style, some groups, but we also have like kind of the younger kind of Asian local groups and groups that are still, may not that's what we do, but within the aesthetic of Oakland and hip hop and a lot of times we're able to get like a lot of the groups before they kind of happen to play at Hyro Day, and that's always good, to kind of like showcase some up and coming talent that we respect. And so yeah, man, it's just kind of it's kind of our way to get back to Oakland and the people of the community, and yeah, and so it's like there's like food and there's arts and craft and there's three stages of music, and so it's kind of like a good day. It's definitely family friendly. We try to make it to where it's like 2 to 92 attend.
And I also saw as well that your songs have been featured in EA's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series. I have to ask you, how does it feel knowing your songs are actually in that video game, and how did that come to be for you guys?
We've kind of had connections with the skate community since the beginning. Since like the early Souls of Mission demos, and so always kind of dabbling in and out with our relationships in the skate, whether it's getting sponsored by clothing companies in the skate genre, or being on going and performing for at the the skate conventions, going and doing kind of opening that. And so it was kind of it's always a natural kind of progression that we kind of associated with other things like video games and Tony Hawk. And we've been in a lot of different games, not just Tony Hawk or skateboard focused games. But yeah, I mean, it's just another way to get our music out there. And in fact, the song that's on Tony Hawk 2 or whatever is "If You Must," which is a Dell song, and it's one of the more popular songs when we perform it due to the fact that it was on the video game, and that's what people know it because you're playing video games for hours and it's it would be the gaming, and so it gets the song a lot of exposure. So it's been very helpful.
And I'm gonna say that's how I first discovered the Hieroglyphics was actually Tony Hawk's Pro Skater as well. Like I grew up on those games. I actually still have an old school PlayStation 2, so I can still play them. So that's where I discovered you guys, man. And I have to say, I always skipped your guys' song on the playlist when I played because I felt the skateboarding feel to it.
Yeah, like it's a trip. Like we have a lot of generations of skateboard love when it was back to just the skateboard videos or music were in like playing videos that were very noteworthy in the early '90s, and just kind of transitioned to the games and stuff. And so, well, I don't skate, and Dell's really the only one in the crew that skates, but the skating community is close to our hearts. That's for sure.
And also, aside from the video game side of things, your songs can also be heard on the hit HBO series Entourage. I have to ask, how did that come to be for you? And also, are you a fan of that television series?
Yeah, I was watching it at the time when they used to be out there. I came about just as the music supervisor, hanging us up and saying he wanted music. It was that simple. And yeah, we had some songs on the wire, a few other things, but yeah, I mean that's obviously notable because at the time the Entourage is one of the more popular shows on TV, and so to have some song that I produced that was kind of right there playing during it, and it's always cool to kind of like get your songs heard in the mediums that usually are reserved for the more bigger and more notable acts.
And it most definitely what it was. So most definitely was a surreal feeling, probably just being able to hear your music. Like when you first heard it, did you know it was going to be in the series, or were you just watching and you were like, "Oh damn, I produced that song"?
No, I mean I was running Hyro at our label, and so I knew that they were going to use it. They it got cleared through me, and they sent me the check. So what I mean. I was well aware, so I was prepared for that. And
Most
you're not
definitely, yeah.
surprised because they can't just use it without your okay.
That is most definitely true. Yeah, you know what I mean. If yeah, I hope you got the check for that. You know what I mean. If they're planning a hit HBO series.
Yeah. If you hear it and it's a surprise, you're going to be calling your lawyer probably the next thing you're going to do. So.
It probably wouldn't be the good surprise. It'd be like, damn, you owe me money.
Right, right, exactly.
So I have to ask you, Domino, what is next for you? Is there anything that I happen to miss during this interview? Any new projects? Anything else? Anything else you want to let our live listeners know while we still have you here on the air?
Yeah, we're still doing it. I mean, like me and Dell are working together on a project with my production and just him, and we're trying to get together. All of High Road, trying to get another High Road album done. Hopefully that'll come in the not too distant future. Once the world gets back to normal, it will probably be back on the road at some point, next year. But yeah, man, that's really the main thing right now. Kind of like waiting for the world to get started because we can even only do so much music at your house, but ultimately you have to get out there and play it for people, and we'll be happy when that is able to happen again.
So, Domino, this is the time in the interview that I give a chance for the individual that comes on the radio station. Just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to. And if you can, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you if they're not already doing so.
Shout out! I guess I'll just shout out to the whole High Road crew, all my boys, Dell, Casual, Pep Love, Tajay, Festo, Opio, A Plus, DJ Tourette. One love to them, and all the people that supported us through all these years, from the early days on the major labels, the '93 till Infinity days, to the Third Eye Vision, Full Circle days, to what we're doing now. It's it matters and it means a lot for the love that we've gotten throughout the years, and it's a big portion reason of why we continue to do it is the love and support and people still being interested in what we have to do. And so the fans are first and foremost for us.
And I want to say, Domino, thank you so much again for coming up on 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM. It was an absolute honor and most definitely a privilege. And I'm looking forward to hearing some new hieroglyphics records in the future.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You're most certainly welcome. Have yourself a wonderful night and try to be safe out there during this terrible pandemic.
Yes, yes, you too. And one love to everybody listening in, and hope to cross everyone's paths at some point when we're back to normal.
Most definitely. Thank you so much, Domino. Have yourself a wonderful night.
Peace. Peace.